Okay, so
Ready.
so everybody, we are still waiting for it to be 5 o'clock, and uh, we start exactly at 5. I'm sorry, I'm a little early because technically we just have to keep everything, all eventualities covered. Hmm. Yeah, I'm going to repeat myself. I start at 5 o'clock. We still have 2 minutes left. We just logged in early so that there would not be any technical problems. And I do hope that the internet doesn't act up and we are able to do this smoothly. In the meantime, I don't know if anybody is watching, but if you are, welcome to this conversation. This waiting is a bit strange because you don't know who is watching, and it's really, in a way, we haven't still gotten used to it, though we've been doing it for so long, in terms of talking to yourself. But it's a learning curve and hope to be more proficient with it. Well, I begin now. Good evening, hello, namaste, adab. My name is Aditi Mangaldas and I'm a Kathak dancer. And I'm really thankful to the Sangeet Natak Academy, to Kathak Kendra, to the director of Kathak Kendra, Shri Suman Kumarji, to have given me this opportunity to share my dance journey on this platform today. I would like to thank Gaurav Bhatti, who is going to be helping us. He's a repertory dancer from Drishti. Also Prajolita Sarma, who has compiled the presentation. And a special thank you to Madhuji, who I have known for so many years from Kathak Kendra, to have coordinated this entire conversation. Honestly, in this current devastating time, my dance journey is of no importance. Whether I dance, I don't dance, seems so small in the whole devastation that is unfolding. And therefore, it's a conflict, and I'm sure that all of you are going through this conflict. And yet, as an artist, I feel the responsibility of every day waking up in the morning, albeit with a very heavy heart, and to continue all our online activities. May it be conversations, may it be films that we are releasing, may it be premieres, with the hope that it elevates the pain of even one person. If one person feels inspired, feels positive, then I think as an artist, it is a duty of mine to do so. So many people have left us untimely. And I begin today with holding them in my heart for all the beauty that they gave us while they were here. and that they left us way too soon, all the great legends. And my deepest respect and pranams to them. I begin by showing you a film. And you may wonder, why am I showing you this film? It's a film, it's a small extract from a film by the American astronomer Carl Sagan. I used to see his films as a young girl in Ahmedabad and be fascinated about our place in the cosmos. You may wonder why I'm showing this to you today, but I'll weave it in as we go ahead. Gaurav, I request you to please share this film for us. This is about our position in this world. Where are we? What is this little blue, pale blue dot? Please watch. There is no sound, unfortunately. I think you may have to remove your headphones, Gaurav. There is no sound.
That's,
yes.
That's us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. The aggregate of our joy and suffering. Thousands of confident religions, ideologies, and economic doctrines. Every hunter and forager, every hero and coward, every creator and destroyer of civilization. Every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam. The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena.
The Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. And yet, everything we know, we love, we cherish, all our arts is in this. And therefore, everything that each one of us does in our each small, big, whatever way, contributes to this beautiful world that we inhabit. As we know, and it has been very clear during this pandemic, a small, very distant, a tiny, minuscule virus jumped the species and has brought havoc upon this world. So it's called the butterfly effect. What I do affects somebody else and affects somebody else. And it's like the widening circle of life. And I think as dancers and as creators and as artists, we have to be very aware of that. Just the fact that I'm able to communicate with you today, or that all of us, when the pandemic struck us out of the blue, we reimagined. We are all Kathakars. We are all narrators of stories. And we found different ways of narrating through the internet. This is a fun video that I would like to share. Gaurav, please do so. And it's called The Butterfly Effect, of how did this World Wide Web come into being.
In 1962, American scientists and military experts feared what might happen in the event of a Soviet attack on the nation's telephone system. A computer scientist named J.C.R. Licklider proposed a solution to this problem, a galactic network of computers that could talk to one another. Little did they know, this idea would eventually be transformed and used for sharing information, entertainment, social networking, etc. by more than 2 billion people today. The World Wide Web. Now, how far back could you go in your life to show whose move at what time sparked a series of events that led up to you watching this video, making you what you are today? There are generations yet unborn whose very lives will be shaped and shifted by what you do today or tomorrow and the next day, because everything you do matters.
And so everything we do as artists matters, even though we are a pale blue dot in the cosmos. I was very lucky to be born in the family I was in Ahmedabad. It was a very liberal family. Liberal in the sense that they encouraged questioning, debate. They did not insist on us as kids to do what was predestined according to them or their ancestors. But they said, question, ask us, have an answer though, be responsible. And I think as a girl child, I got equal opportunities as my brother. And I'm so grateful for the fact that this liberalness that I grew up with, this sense of, they said, read literature, read all our mythologies, but don't think it's written in stone. Question it with your own mind. Learn about it, read about it, research about it, and then make your own decision, but then also face the consequences. As a young girl child, I was told, I don't know, I don't have memory of this, that I lived with my paternal grandmother used to live with us, and she was a matriarch. So the entire family, and it was huge family, would gather every evening to meet her. And apparently, as a young girl, I would jump onto a table and somehow dance, try to attract attention or communicate, God knows what. This was way before my memory goes back. But my mother, who was from Bombay and who spoke Marathi, would sing. And this song, in her very Besura fashion, still reverberates with me today. Nachga pori angan vakad. Kasi ganachu angan vakad. It means, oh, do dance, young girl. And the girl says, oh, how can I dance? The floor is all crooked. And it goes like that. I guess it must be some folk song from Maharashtra. But strangely, this image I've forgotten, but this song reverberates with me till today, 55 or maybe 57 years later. And I have used it in one of my productions, not the song, but the feeling of this going back to myself as a young girl of 3 and 4 who was dancing on a table in my production, Interrupted. So my parents put me through music and dance and the fine arts and also community science center. They thought maybe I have some gene has jumped the generations and reached me, because my family is a family of academicians and industrialists. So there were no dancers in the family. And slowly everything fell apart and dance came to be my language. And I was most lucky to have met, and that my parents took me to this most legendary of gurus, the magical and absolutely amazing, my guru, Srimati Kumudini Ji Lakhya. And as we call her with deep respect and love, Kumi Ben. it was magic. I was 5 years old and I was just enchanted by this extremely graceful and powerful woman. So much so that my mother had to send food and milk to her because I would not listen to my mother anymore. It was only Kumiben, Kumiben. And it was, of course, looking back much later, that I realized that she too gave us, each dancer who was with us, the courage and to find our own dance path. She said, be fearless. We learned absolutely classical Kathak, and yet she encouraged us to keep our mind and our heart open, never to wear blinkers. So if I have to, and you cannot, of course, ever say it in 2 sentences, it was this tiny body of mine, and I am like only 5 feet tall, connections horizontally to music, to literature, to poetry, to the space around me, to the observation of the current times that I am dancing a particular piece in, to the light that is falling upon me, to the costume that I'm wearing, to maybe another person around me, to the musicians who are playing with me, to the audience that may be far in the distance or very close. These horizontal connections. And she did not want to make us into carbon copies. So she gave us the freedom to question, to ask, to say, why? And that is the kind of amazing background that I grew up in dance. I was dancing in many of her choreographies as a young girl. Sargam when I was 8, and then Ek Tha Gaon. But I would like to mention that I was in a school which is also an incredible school called Shreyas. And the first time I danced, I was 6 years old, to an audience of 3,000 people doing Manipuri. Yes, if you please. And guess who our great teachers were? Kalavati ji and Jhaveri ji. So, Darshana Ben. And I was dancing Manipuri. So it's strange how life takes molds and little events. This one little event of my mother taking me to Kumiben's class changed my life. So when I turned 15, she said, no, now is the time for you. Now you have to do your solo. And she started preparing me for this whole year. I remember Dr. Sunil Kothari ji, and my deepest pranams to him. He has left us, and I cannot believe that life is going to be there without him. So Sunil Bhai and Kumiben fixed my performance at the Kalki Kalakar in Bombay. And there was a photo shoot, and she came with me to, Kumiben came with my mother and me to choose the costumes. Every day she was pushing me. I mean, I was like dripping sweat. And Gaurav, please share the photos of my first Kathak solo. I say Kathak solo because I did this Manipuri when I was 6. So there is the photo shoot. I was 16. And Kumiben had chosen the costume for me. And I loved green. So this was green. This was Brij Narayan ji and Kumiben and Guru Mohan Rao Kalyanpurkar ji giving me the Kalke Kalakar Shringar Mani. So that started my journey as a soloist. And so many things have grown from there. I'm not on that same path, thankfully. Yeah, thank life. But that was the beginning peg. And then experiences and life and everything inspired that journey. As I said, I danced in many of Kumiben's choreographies, and simultaneously Kumiben started encouraging us to as soloists, starting with the Kalki Kalakar. One of her productions is iconic, and that has influenced my way of thinking a lot. It's called Venu. Now, all of us, many dancers, dance the story when Krishna leaves Vrindavan and the desolation felt by the gopis and Radha there. But I completely am fascinated by the way she structured this. She took a miniature painting and made that into a backdrop. The entire backdrop was the miniature painting, as you can see. And the figures were removed from the backdrop, and we became the figures on the stage. So it was a three-dimensional miniature painting. There you go. Can you believe this? In 1971. And how did she show this sense of Krishna leaving? Because the flute sound of the flute comes in, and these inanimate figures become animated and dance with passion and abandon. And just when Krishna leaves, the sound of his flute leaves, and we go back into this three-dimensional painting. I found that incredibly brilliant. Absolutely. So how do we not look at concepts linearly? How do we see them in multifaceted ways? I think that's very, very important. At the same time, Kumiben also encouraged us to find our own voice. And I was 16 years old when I got an opportunity to perform at a school in the UK and two private performances in the USA. And she encouraged me. And because we didn't have a recorded music, you know what she did? She gave me her solo recorded music. I was 16. And I said, Kumiben, my God, how can I ever dance it? And she said, look, I'm going to work with you. You dance it as a 16-year-old. And let us find your strength in this piece. So I show you some photographs. Again, there was a photo shoot by the photographer Dalwadi. And the last image is of me getting dressed in the school in UK. Kumiben took interest in everything, the colors that we wore, the aesthetics of what we wore, the music we chose, and yet left it open for us to decide. But you know, the liberal background and the questioning background that I came from, thank you, Gaurav, that I came from, I started questioning when I turned 20. Something in me was not dancing. And so with the blessings of my guru, I went to Delhi, to the font of where the classical tradition of the Lucknow Gharana, who else but my guru, Pandit Birju Maharaj Ji. It was the first moment I arrived. It was magical. Completely. My mind was blown. I had met Maharajji before because, as you know, Maharajji and Kumiben have had a very, very old relationship. And Maharajji used to come to Ahmedabad. In fact, he came to our home and sang through the night, completely enthralling me. And as a young girl, I was there watching in utter wonder at this beauty unfolding in front of me. And also, the Venu that I talked about when we danced it in Delhi, he had come and he was standing like this at the edge of the stage. And in that Venu piece, I had to be statue, Kumi Menet said, statue for 25 minutes. And after that, I was supposed to dance for the next 5 minutes. And I was so nervous because Maharaji was right there. So when I went back much later in my 20s, I remember arriving at the Kathak Kendra with this false confidence and bravado that only a 21 or 22-year-old would have. And Maharaji said, chalo, show us something. So I went ahead and danced. That's a bit later, Gaurav. I went ahead and danced an Ahmad, which I later realized was one of Maharaji's favorite Ahmads. I think that's the last time I've ever danced with bravado ever in my life. Because after that, he started asking me details, questions. What did my heart feel when I did that particular movement? And I had no answers completely. The process with Maharaji was something that you go deeper and deeper and deeper. When you actually start loving each aspect of what dance does to you within you, of how your breath can reach every different part of your body. Doesn't matter what space you have, what music you have, what literature you have, what poetry you're dancing to, whether somebody is watching or not. It is this internalizing of dance that is something that my legendary guru exposed all his students to. And his teaching, full of similes, full of examples, detailed, with every tihai had a story. We are narrators, right? Even if something is completely abstract, what is that abstract? How is your heart moving when you do that tihai? What is the movement of your mind? Do you see a leaf fall and see a rhythm in it? Do you hear the waves? And do you form a sort of undulating rhythm in your mind? It was the most fascinating experience. And I was really lucky that as soon as I came to the Kathak Kendra, Maharaji took me in his his dancers that he was taking to different festivals abroad. And so it was not only learning, but actually learning from performing, watching him from the wings, daily imbibing. My class may have been for 2 hours, but I was at the Kathak Kendra from 10 in the morning to 9:30 at night, watching Shashwati Didi's class, Krishan Mohan Bhaiya's class, Ram Mohan's class, I mean, my seniors' class, and absorbing, learning, observing. And I learned so much from it. I remember once in 1982, total excitement. We were performing for the Festival of India in 1982 in England. And we had really rehearsed a lot. And this is our first performance, and Maharaji's dancing, and I'm watching completely mesmerized from the wings. And suddenly comes inside, and Shashwati Didi and Durga in the wings too. And he said, you know something? Cut that entry, cut that, and enter with this. Because he had felt the pulse of the audience. It's so important to have this interaction, to be able to completely transform in that moment. And then it was Didi's time to enter, and she just said, okay, Aditi, Durga, this is what, cut, and she was gone. And you won't believe my apprehension and agitation because I wasn't trained like that. But it taught me to be flexible, to be open to the rhythms of life. You know, I'd rather be a bamboo in a storm than a big, inflexible, obstinate tree. Because a bamboo has very strong roots, but in a storm, it knows how to weather it. Yeah, it lets the wind pass through its leaves. It is not uprooted from its place. So I am eternally grateful. And those years in Kathak Kendra were golden years, spending time with Keshav Kothari ji, with Jivanda. They helped me so much in so many discussions and talks and help and helping young artists to find their own path, not saying this is the path, but saying, hey, come on, shall I help you? Can I find you a way that you can go? I have some photographs here. Unfortunately, most of the photographs are in our office, which is shut, the hard copy, but I request Gaurav to share a few photographs of our tours with Maharaji and my time at the Kathak Kendra. These are golden years. And still my conversation with Keshavji, with Jivanda are so vibrant in my mind. Yes, we start with that first and then the second, please. Thank you. There seems to be some problem, so I go ahead. And when you are ready, Gaurav, you can just start sharing and I'll stop. So, and yet, by the time I was 26 years old, again, I felt as though something in me was not dancing. There were these two great banyan trees that I was under. These two great gurus of mine who I am still learning from. But I felt I needed to find my own path. And so in 1986, I decided to be on my own. Yes, Gaurav, please go ahead if you could. These are some photographs of my time. That's Maharaji teaching us. That's Maharaji and Kumiben. In one of the Baithaks, once again, on a tour, shopping, on a stage somewhere. I think this was the Kamani dressing room. And you could share the second one also. So as I was saying, that journey started and it was difficult, but I said I must learn to walk my dance on my own. It wasn't easy because with my gurus, every problem I had was solved instantly. They are such legends. But I said, let me find my own way of solving problems. I will fail, I will fall, but I will learn to walk again. There you go. This is the next piece. Yeah, Gaurav, if you can share it. Right. So I'm going to continue and I think, there we are. This is Ritu Samvar, which Rohini ji had taught us. This was my time at the Kathak Kendra, the various photo shoots. My exam at the Kathak Kendra, there we are in a performance Sargam, I think, with Didi, Malti, and Durga. Again, with my dear friend Veronique and Malti. Again, backstage. So when you leave, you don't leave your gurus, you know. I have been lucky just last year that they have been with me for my first solo. And in fact, before the pandemic, on the 4th of February 2020, I performed a solo in Ahmedabad for my Guru Kumi Ben's birthday. And on the 1st of December, I performed a solo at the NCPA, and I was so honored and touched and completely mesmerized that I was performing on the same stage as my Guru Maharaji, who was dancing, who was concluding the festival. So you are attached with them with your umbilical cord. But that doesn't mean that you don't find your own path. That otherwise you may fail. That's okay. It may be right, wrong, that's unimportant. But I think it's very necessary to let go and let life be your greatest teacher. I would really think that I have learned so much from life. From 1986, my discovery, my journey of finding my own path started. There were many failures. There were many things I did wrong. There were many times I had to go back and ask my gurus or go back to the teaching of my gurus, keep it in my mind and find my own truth to it. It wasn't easy. In fact, it's never easy, right? Because I wanted to be a bad original, that's fine. I think as artists, not a great copy. I can never be a copy of anyone. We are all individuals in our own right. So whether we find a path that takes us somewhere else, maybe it doesn't. Maybe we find to learn to swim, walk again. That's okay. So for years and many solos and many explorations later, I now talk to you about a piece called Footprints on Water. For my journey, that was an iconic piece. You know, the seasons, I mean, Kalidasa's Ritu Samvar has been danced by dancers all over the world. And Rohini Bhatteji, Guru Rohini Bhatteji had come to Kathak Kendra. In fact, I showed you that photograph with Shashwati Didi and Durga and myself, where we had danced, where she had choreographed this fantastic piece of Kalidasa's Ritu Samvar. So I wanted to explore the seasons, but I wanted to see it in a different way. And for me, seasons became a talk about transience. You know, just as the traveler reaches the shade of the tree, the sun moves on. It's a beautiful Sufi saying. So I based Footprints on Water on this sense of transience. Varsha and Sharad were based and taken from Kalidasa's Ritu Samvar, starting from the Vilambit aspect of Kathak and Madhya and Drut. Then I came to Hemant and I said, okay, let me try and read if it's possible to bring in poetry in literature from a non-Kathak environment. And I must say that I found the most beautiful Japanese haiku about autumn. And we translated that. Jivan Paniji helped me, in fact, gave me his own poem and the entire Hemant only was danced with the haiku poetry and with Jivanda's poem, with only showing leaves that were constantly falling in the atmosphere. An atmosphere that was full of falling autumn leaves on the flute. Then came winter. Now, I was talking to my aunt, Pupul Jaikarji, and she said winter to her was a time when she put a comma in her life, waited, and internalized her energy to wait for the burst of Vasant. And then that conversation, why I'm sharing this with you, is that conversations with anyone, with your friends, going to museums, listening to different types of music, reading a novel, maybe watching some silly film on Netflix, something triggers something. You know, the butterfly effect that I talked about. And this conversation, I said, yes, what is it that identifies me? Is my face. And so let Shishir be something where I put a comma in my life, not a full stop, a comma, waiting for the next sentence to start. It was like a stream that goes underneath, subterranean stream. And Shubha Mudgalji composed the most beautiful music for Footprints on Water, especially for winter, for Shishir, which was in Jog. And the way she sang, you actually felt as if this gurgling stream had gone underwater. Well, then came Vasant, and then came Grishma, which was about showing, which was about how your internal heat inside of you, the violence inside of you, overtakes the violence outside of you. So it was on a poem by Faiz Ahmed Faiz. Gaurav, I request you to show the images of Footprints on Water. We'll go ahead because we don't have much time left. Yeah, that was Varsha, Sharad, and these were shot by this brilliant photographer, John Panikkar. He's no more. Winter, Shishir, Vasant, and Grishma. So as I said, my journey, this was an iconic production. And then many things have come since then. Many solos, many group works, many failures, many few successes, but a lot of learning. And through that, the journey, I have learned to respect our history and our geography, but not to be bogged down with it. I have learned the value of collaborations with poets, with architects, with musicians, with light designers, with collaborations with even my students, with my colleagues, with the dancers and musicians who have come through Drishti. Because every interaction you need to learn. There is something that will add a layer to your dance journey. Also, I started the Drishti Dance Foundation, which is now called Aditi Mangaldas Dance Company, the Drishti Dance Foundation. It started actually because I was doing something for which I needed funds. And the Ministry of Culture said, oh God, we can't give you Aditi Mangaldas funds. You have to have a registered organization. So it started in a very small way with 1 or 2 people. Today, it's been 30 years. And so many dancers and musicians have come through it. I have been inspired by all of them. I have learned from all of them. And I do hope that somewhere at some level, I have been able to enrich their dance lives. Also, at a point in the early 90s, I started wanting to dance things that I felt I couldn't dance within the broader parameters of Kathak. Let's say like claustrophobia. I couldn't. Maybe you can. With all that I had learned, I was unable to dance claustrophobia or some such emotions to the best of my ability, honestly, with myself. So what do? Do I say, no, forget it? Or do I have the responsibility? Because I do feel that my human lineage is far greater than my Kathak lineage. And therefore, I felt a responsibility that no, I have a desire to share this emotion or this thought or this story or this poetry or this expression or this movement. So I must do it. I must find the dance vocabulary, the movement of my body, my mind, and my heart, that I will be able to share that with the best and the most honest ability that I have. You know, if you take a seed of Kathak, a seed of Kathak, and you water it with Kathak sensibilities, with all that your gurus have taught, with all that you have learned from your colleagues and your dancers, you've learned from observing some great performers and legends and other gurus. You water it with Kathak history and Kathak geography. This individual tree will grow. And it will be a Kathak tree. It will be individual. It will be your tree, but it will be a Kathak tree. But what if you sow a seed of Kathak and water it with contemporary sensibilities, with contemporary movement, with contemporary thought, with different poetry and movement patterns? What happens to that? That root is the Kathak root, but the tree that grows out from it reaches a different part of the sky. And because of a lack of a word, I call it my contemporary dance based on Kathak. I think 80-85% of all my work falls within the classical Kathak parameter. But there is 15% of what I call my contemporary dance based on Kathak. And some of the productions, like Interrupted, Within, I never had any solo productions in the contemporary dance based on Kathak. We were planning to do one in 2020 called Forbidden, and hopefully it will happen in the future. So I would like to share with you few clips from my piece called Immersed, which is where I say Krishna as life. You will see how even light helps you in adding different layers within the construct of the content of, because of course content is the most important. Because I have talked about collaborations and because I have talked two short clips from Drishti introduction. Gaurav, please do share all the videos together. Thank you. That's Immersed. You know, I say, Savare Chelare Nain ki oat na jao. Your life always be at the edge of my being. This beautiful music was composed also by Shubhaji. I have been lucky to have had these wonderful relationships. Yeah. So I don't know if there's any time, left for the next clip, but I start talking about suddenly as we were going ahead, in full plan, our lives got damned and the pandemic started. Gaurav, it's okay. I think we don't have the time, so I'm going to go ahead. And maybe if you all want to watch some of my solo clips, some of the clips of the Dance Foundation, please do go to our website, and there are many more clips. Because I would like to take these last few minutes to talk about what we have done as a dance company and as an artist during these really devastating times. So we were suddenly damned. We were suddenly in lockdown in our rooms, and Kathak that had traveled from the temples to the proscenium stage to the kotas Kathak that had traveled from the temples to the courts to the kotas to the proscenium stage was now in our bedrooms and our living rooms. And one really had to reimagine how we would be able to communicate, because we are communicators, we are kathakars. So how do we find different ways of reaching out, of touching people virtually? That became very important. Also, how is it possible to keep my small family, my few students, I have only 4 students, and they have hundreds of students, to keep that connection going, my connection going with all the artists at Drishtikon, the larger Drishtikon family that was scattered all over the world. So we decided that come what may, we have to be in tune. We have to meet every single day at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock and do riyaz for 2 hours or 3 hours, plan things. And that helped me, and I do hope that it helped them. Because seeing their enthusiastic and young and full of thoughts faces really sparked something in me. And there were lots of things that we did during this pandemic. And even during this current absolutely devastating time where we are heartbroken, every day we meet and we say, no, we must. Maybe we can help one person through our art. We also decided, we have made many, many films. There are some solos, there are some with groups, some choreographies, many workshops. And I urge you to go to our website and look at them. But one very important thing I feel was that we as a small community of Drishtikon were privileged, but there were thousands of artists who were so very underprivileged. And so we started, as Drishtikon Dance Foundation, we started a fundraiser to support families across India who were not as privileged as us. But we didn't want to ask for money. So we made 6 short films, 2 of which I would like to help. Gaurav, please get the Within from Within films ready. I would like to show you, because we offered these as an offering and many people opened their hearts and donated generously, and we were able to help artists in need. So I would like to leave this with these two films. We are continuing to keep positive, to pray, to kneel down to life, to be thankful to life, and to have given all of us this gift of dance, to have the courage and the humility, to have passion and abandon, and greatest of all, to have love and compassion, and to help each other and reach out and touch virtually. So Gaurav, please share it. Wrapped up in yourself, you hid from me. All day I looked for you. All day I looked for you. And when I found you, hiding inside me, I ran wild, playing now me, now you, now me, now you, now me, now you. So these films were actually taken from our production Within, and what that Within meant to us right down. Each dancer in their own bedrooms, own living rooms, own bedrooms, own chat, filmed, learned to film, learned to figure of how we can communicate and share our art. I would like you to see the other film also called Impassion. यार को हमने जा बजा देखा, कहीं जाहिर कहीं छुपा देखा. I do wish that in these really devastating times, we find that yar within us, the strength within us to face these very difficult times. I end with showing you 4 photographs of our new work. So right now, as we are facing these very heartbreaking times, the dancers in Drishti are working on solo films of finding the seasons within their locked down rooms. Because for over a year, they've only been able to film, to feel the seasons from within. And I do very strongly believe that art cannot exist in a vacuum. So when I was asked to make a new solo during the lockdown, and I'm very grateful for Sampradaya Dance Creations to have commissioned this work and to have invited me to present this solo at the festival Anveshana, which is going to be premiered on May 16th. I couldn't dance what I had danced just before the pandemic. I was in full preparation because I was going to the US to do my solo Immersed. Because this anxiety and this has to affect what I dance right now. I must breathe the air of today. So I present to you 4 photographs from my latest solo work that will be premiered as a film called Lost in the Forest. And it's in 2 parts. Nav Mein Nadiya by Sri Kunwar Narayanji, and the music of both the pieces is by Shubha Mudgalji. And the next one, Chan Chan Chip Chip, on the poetry of Bhartendu Harishchandra, again by Shubha Mudgalji, and all the Drishtikon musicians have done the music for the same. Thank you. Thank you very much. I do hope that all of you stay well, stay safe, and we help each other. Please keep your masks on. Please keep at a distance. Please stay very, very careful. Namaste and thank you.